Today, we're going to take a look at 5 common habits that usually get slapped with the lazy label, and we're going to flip that idea completely on its head. What if these things aren't flaws at all? What if they're actually signs of a super efficient, highly intelligent mind doing what it does best? I mean, come on, has anyone ever given you a hard time about your messy desk? Or maybe assumed you just don't care because you put off starting a big project? If you've ever felt totally misunderstood for habits just like these, then you are absolutely in the right place. Okay, so let's get right into it. Society's view is pretty simple, right? Messiness, procrastination, it all equals laziness, a lack of discipline. But if you look at it from a psychological point of view, it's a completely different story. These habits can actually be signs of a brain that's working smarter, not harder. A brain that's deeply engaged and performing at a really high level. And here's the secret. These habits aren't just random quirks or accidents. They are part of a very deliberate, even if it's subconscious, mental strategy. It's all about saving your energy for the things that truly matter. The fancy term for this is a cognitive optimization strategy. Just think of your brain's energy as a battery on your phone. If you're running a bunch of complex apps, you're going to close out all the little background stuff that drains power, right? Well, a high IQ brain does the exact same thing. It becomes ruthless at shutting down low-value tasks, like tidying up constantly, just to save that precious power for solving the big, juicy problems. And you can really see the difference here. An average brain might spend a huge chunk of its energy on just maintenance, routine chores, organizing things, small talk. A high IQ brain, on the other hand, instinctively redirects that same energy toward innovation, connecting dots nobody else sees and solving really complex puzzles. It's a strategic trade-off. So let's break down the 5 specific habits that really prove this theory. We're going to re-examine them and see how this all plays out in the real world. First up, the all-time classic, messiness. A cluttered desk, a messy room. We've all been taught that this is a huge character flaw. But what's really going on behind the scenes? Well, it's not chaos. It's actually something psychologists call selective organization. You're not disorganized, you just have different priorities. Your brain has basically decided that keeping your physical space perfect is way less important than, say, keeping your ideas perfectly organized in your head. And that's the key. Constantly tidying your desk takes up real, valuable brain power, what we call cognitive bandwidth. So by letting the physical world get a little messy, your brain is actually being super efficient. It's filtering out the unimportant stuff so it can focus 100% on the abstract thoughts that lead to breakthroughs. All right, let's tackle habit number 2, another one that gets a really bad rap, procrastination. You see, what looks like laziness is often a sign of something called cognitive complexity. A really active mind doesn't just see a simple task. It sees this whole web of possibilities, potential problems, and different angles that most people might just gloss over. And doing that deep dive analysis, well, that takes time. This quote just nails it. You aren't avoiding the work, you're in an information gathering phase. Your brain is running simulations, exploring outcomes, and basically waiting until it has all the data it needs to do the job, not just adequately, but brilliantly. You're not delaying, you're optimizing. Okay, habit number 3, daydreaming. You know the look. Staring off into space, looking out the window. From the outside, it seems like you've completely checked out of reality. But on the inside, your brain is absolutely on fire. It starts with a moment of cognitive quiet, which lets you engage in counterfactual thinking. That's just asking, what if? From there, you get to associative integration, where your brain starts connecting totally unrelated ideas. And boom, that's where a brand new insight is born. Honestly, this might be the most powerful idea of all. That moment you're zoning out isn't wasted time. That's often when your brain is doing its heaviest lifting, forging the kinds of innovative connections that just can't happen when you're actively focused on a task. All right, moving on to a habit that, let's be honest, can look a little strange to outsiders. Talking to yourself. Whether you're just muttering under your breath or having a full-on chat when no one's around. This is actually a really powerful tool called verbal reasoning. The thoughts inside a fast-moving brain can feel like a chaotic swarm of abstract ideas. Speaking them out loud actually forces those thoughts into a straight line, into a logical sequence. It turns that mental chaos into a coherent plan. So really, it's a sign that your brain is processing information so fast that you have to say it out loud just to keep up with it. By turning those thoughts into spoken words, you create clarity, and you can solve problems way, way faster. And finally, our 5th habit, getting bored really easily. You master something and then immediately need a new challenge, or you just can't stand doing the same repetitive task over and over. People often mistake this for a lack of focus or commitment.
But in reality, it's what's known as a high need for cognition. An intelligent brain chews through information so quickly that once a system becomes predictable, it stops being rewarding. The dopamine dries up. The task actually becomes mentally painful because it doesn't offer any new challenge.
And that's the whole thing, right there. Your brain isn't undisciplined. It's a novelty-seeking machine. As soon as it's cracked the code and figured out how something works, it marks the problem as solved and immediately starts scanning the horizon for the next puzzle to sink its teeth into. So after all this, what's the big idea? What's the one thing you should really walk away with today? It's this. You are not lazy, you are not messy or unfocused, you are an essentialist. Your brain is instinctively and aggressively getting rid of the unimportant stuff. It's deleting the files it doesn't need, so it has all the processing power to run the big programs, the ones that create, innovate, and actually change things. So the real question isn't about how to fix your so-called lazy habits. It's about recognizing them as a source of incredible power. Now that you know what's really going on in your head, what will you choose to build with all of that saved energy?